Welcome to part 24 of my heraldic tour of the great cloister of Canterbury Cathedral, covering the Royal Bay 32, which was constructed by my estimation between May and June 1413. The Royal Bay is a fond tribute of Archbishop Arundel to his friend King Henry IV. They were kinsmen who became friends during exile in 1399. The prelate was instrumental in the revolution that brought Henry to the throne and served as a key prop to the Lancastrian regime that followed. I have argued that the clockwise build of the cloister, which occurred from 1410 to 1412, was halted at the end of 1412 when the Archbishop realised that his friend's life was drawing to a close, because he wished Henry to see this bay before he died. Unfortunately, the king died on the 20th of March 1413, and the bay was not completed until June of that year. Nor did Henry V have the opportunity to see the work until the anniversary of his father's death was commemorated in 1414, by which time the Archbishop himself had died. Here is the bay as it appears today. The fact that the arms of Henry IV have been placed slightly off-centre in no way detracts from the centrality of the king in this scheme. The reason for the placement was likely a wish to treat England and France equally by placing neither at the centre. In order to most clearly see how the bay was devised with Henry IV in mind, I have divided the shields into different themes. We move now to the bay as I believe it might have originally appeared. Firstly, there are his supposed realms and suzerain territories: England at 14, Wales at 6, the Isle of Man at 12, Ireland at 13 with its harp, and two other countries over which Henry had a claim, France at 22 and Scotland at 16. It was Henry IV who early in his reign changed the royal arms from France ancient with its multiple fleurs-de-lis to France modern, which had only 3. His predecessor Richard II had occasionally used the new form, but the arms had never officially been changed in England. Wales is represented by the arms of Llewellyn the Great, which are borne as an escutcheon on the arms of the current Prince of Wales. They were adopted by Henry IV's great rival Owen Glyndŵr when he proclaimed himself Prince of Wales. Although Glyndŵr had been defeated by 1413 following a protracted war, the Welshman went on to outlive his rival. The second group are the places that Henry visited as Earl of Derby in 1392 on his triumphant pilgrimage to the Holy Land. These are the Holy Roman Empire at 21, represented with the double-headed eagle, Bohemia at 4, Hungary at 33, Rhodes at 3, and Jerusalem itself at 28. The third group are the monarchs, who were Henry IV's sisters, brothers-in-law and sons-in-law. Castile and Leon at 9, of which Henry's half-sister Catherine of Lancaster was the Dowager Queen and Regent. The reversal of the quarterings is to signify that the Queen herself was intended by the arms. Navarre is at 5, Henry's Queen Joan being the sister of Charles II, King of Navarre, to whom he paid an annuity. Aragon is at 24. Ferdinand I, King of Aragon, was the brother-in-law of the king's sister Catherine. Portugal is at 23. João I, King of Portugal, was married to Henry's sister Philippa of Lancaster. Finally, Sweden, Norway, Pomerania and Denmark were the 4 territories of the king's daughter Philippa, married to Eric of Pomerania, king of Denmark, Sweden and Norway. The 4 shields are altogether at 34, 37, 38 and 39. There is a second shield for Norway at the junction between this bay and Bay 33, which you can just see the edge of on this picture of 3 longships. The obsolete Paley arms of Provence at 18, being the reverse of those of Aragon, can only have been included to celebrate an ancestor shared by both Henry IV and his Archbishop. She was Eleanor of Provence, the wife of King Henry III of England. The 4th group, and here we begin to see overlap with the earlier groups, relate to key events during the reign of Henry IV. Byzantium is at 19 for the visit of the Emperor Manuel Palaeologus to England in 1400. Scotland is here for the capture of the King of Scotland, which brought peace, and Rhodes for the visit of the Grand Master of the Hospitallers to England in 1409 to discuss a new crusade. Armenia at 27 was included because Henry was concerned to promote the cause of John Greenlaw, who was titular Archbishop in Armenia, in connection with his desired crusade. The 5th group is that of saints with whom Henry had a particular connection. There were the 3 kingly saints: Edward the Confessor at 30, Edmund, king and martyr, at 29, Ethelbert of Kent at 15, the first 2 having their shields on Henry's great seal. There was St. Thomas Becket at 2, whose oils were used to anoint Henry at his coronation, the first time this had occurred. St. George, whose arms Henry carried at his fateful trial by combat in 1398, is at 1, and St. Alban is at 8. Henry was a member of the confraternity of St. Alban's Abbey, which was close to one of his principal Lancastrian castles at Hertford. Archbishop Arundel was a benefactor of the same abbey. The final group, that of military heroes, is perhaps the most interesting. The arms of a lion sitting in a chair at 26 are indisputably linked to the Nine Worthies, and this invites the interested observer to look for others. There is, in fact, a considerable amount of overlap between some of the arms of the kingdoms already mentioned and those of the Nine Worthies. The double-headed Roman eagle was taken to represent Julius Caesar. The arms of France stood for Charlemagne, another individual from both whom Henry and the Archbishop shared descent. The arms of Jerusalem stood for Godfrey de Bouillon, who recaptured the Holy City for Christendom in 1099. The 3 crowns of St. Edmund also stood for King Arthur, and to underscore the intention to include him, we have at 35 the arms of Glastonbury Abbey, which were regarded as alternative arms for King Arthur, being his place of burial. The Harp of Ireland also stands for King David. The Griffin of Pomerania also stands for Judas Maccabeus, to whom the Archbishop likened Henry IV at his opening parliament. The lion in the throne is for Hector of Troy, so of the 9 we are now only short of Alexander the Great and Joshua, the conqueror of Canaan. I surmise that the hare at 10, which various armorials give for Thrace, might be intended for Alexander, who was so fleet of foot that he was able to conquer much of the known world in such a short time. I cannot make any of the shields Joshua, but there is a ninth worthy in the form of Prester John, the mythical king of the East, who was assigned the shield of Christ on the cross. For completeness, I must conclude with the 3 shields that form the boundary with Bay 33, which are classed numerically as part of this bay. At 25 is Sir John Pelham, with his canting arms of 3 pelicans. He was one of Henry IV's closest friends and advisers. This shield is closely connected with those that lie on either side. At 17 is St. John of Stanton, St. John, Oxfordshire, which family settled their principal ancestral manor on Sir John Pelham. At 31 is Tregooze of Sussex, an extinct family from which Sir John Pelham's wife was descended. You will find a great deal more information in the pages of my book, Great Cloister, A Lost Canterbury Tale, all 700 pages of it. You will also find a great many colour illustrations within the book. And here are the details of how to find it. I will be very happy to conduct heraldic and/or genealogical research on your behalf, and you can contact me through my personal website, drpaulfoxfsa.com, and do please keep in touch through that site with other podcasts on the cloister which will be coming out. There will be a total of 26 parts released over the coming months.